Esaenai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Ne'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim Va'aretz Ezri Ne'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim Va'aretz. I lift my eyes up to the mountains. From where will my help come? I lift my eyes up to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and of the earth. My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and of the earth. Esaenai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Esaenai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri.
Welcome to this very sad moment. We have the opportunity as a community today to say goodbye to Audra Feierstein. I'm Rabbi Emily Hyatt.
And I'm Cantorial Soloist Steve Brodsky.
And before we start, just a couple of quick reminders. First and foremost, if you have a cell phone, please make sure that it does not ring while we are gathered here together this afternoon. If you need to use the restroom, and this is not a building you are familiar with, you're just going to go back out the blue checkered doors in the back, and to the right, there's a long hallway. Around the corner at the end of that long hallway is a all-gender, all-access restroom, should you need it. Just in case we need to leave here with any urgency, there are 4 exits in here. They all have green exit signs. Just push hard, and you'll get through things that don't look like doorways. And it's beautiful to see how many of you are here today for this moment as we join together with Audra's beautiful family to honor her life and to begin the process of mourning for her and to say goodbye. I know that Audra has been an important part of so many of our lives for a very long time, and is one of the people who I would define most by her presence, just her ability to show up. And so it's really powerful how many of us have shown up for her today. I want to share with you a poem that feels really relevant on a day like today when we are saying goodbye to somebody that we would prefer not to be saying goodbye to. It is too early, and we're not supposed to be here. And so this is a poem called A Blessing for the Brokenhearted. Let us agree for now that we will not say that this breaking makes us stronger, or that it's better to have this pain than to have done without this love. Let us promise that we will not tell ourselves that time will heal the wound when every day our waking opens it anew. Perhaps for now it can be enough to simply marvel at the mystery of how a heart so broken, can go on beating, as if it were made for precisely this, as if it knows that the only cure for love is more of it, as if it sees the heart's sole remedy for breaking is to love still, as if it trusts that its own persistent pulse is the rhythm of a blessing we cannot begin to fathom, but will save us nonetheless. There are essentially 3 different parts to a Jewish funeral, if this is your first time at one. The first thing that we do is prepare ourselves for the hard work of saying goodbye, and we do that with our tradition, with words of poems or psalms or songs that help us to say the words that we're not totally sure how to say. We're grateful to have a tradition that gives language to what we feel. The second thing that we do is to tell the story of a life. And one of the craziest things about these experiences is that you can't tell that story until you know how it ends. Up until the day that someone dies, it is just a story that's unfinished. But today we know, and so we get to tell the story of Audra's life and begin to pull from it the pieces of her legacy that we know we will work so hard to keep with us. And then the third thing that we do at a Jewish funeral, which we will not do in this building, but we will do when we get to the cemetery, is to say goodbye to her physical presence here with us. And so we turn to words of tradition, to words of generations before that have given language to what it feels like to lose and to grieve and to mourn. We turn first to the words of Psalm 23.
Adonai roi lo echsar bino deshe yarbitzeni al mei menuchot yenahaleni Nafshi yeshovev, Yancheni v'magle tzedek, Yancheni v'magle tzedek, Leman shemo. Gam ki elech begetz al mavet lo irara ki ata imadi shivtecha umishantecha hema yenachamuni ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged tzorirai Dishanta Vashem en Roshi Kosi Revaya Ach Tov Chesed Yerdefuni Kol Yemei Chayai Kol Yemei Chayai V'shavti bevet Adonai leorech yamim. Adonai roi lo echsar Adonai roi lo echsar.
God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. God, you lead me in right paths for the sake of your name, and even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. So just to take a moment to tell you, I met Audra when I was in middle school. And I was going to school at the JCC, and she was working in the BBYO office. And I think in great Audra tradition, she did not have a problem with me not being in school and hanging out in her office. And I spent a lot of time in there, just around the corner where the teachers wouldn't find me. She knows a lot of really embarrassing secrets about me, so I promised to honor her with not telling too many of her embarrassing secrets today. But it's pretty crazy to know someone for that long and then to have the opportunity to reflect on it like I do today, because we've known each other in so many different phases of our lives. I have a memory in 2011 of shortly, I think, after Lucas was born, and I was living out of town, but I had come home and I had met Lucas, and then she wanted to get a tattoo. And so I went with her. She's the only person on the planet that doesn't like the Grateful Dead and has a dead bear tattoo. But I remember going with her to get this tattoo, and then she would send me pictures. She sent me a picture of the other tattoo she was going to get long after, and apparently it brought her great joy that even though I wasn't a rabbi yet at that moment, that her rabbi went with her to get a tattoo. So I feel really proud of that. In more recent years, it's been a great privilege to be able to watch her kids grow up and to be able to celebrate milestones and life cycle moments with them as they grew up, and to have her as a part of this congregation with me is really special. But one of the pieces of that puzzle is that when you get sick and you go through things like cancer, there is always a question of, do you want to be on our healing list? Do you want your name read publicly on a Misha Beirach list? And every Friday night and every Saturday morning at every service we do, we read the names of those who are in need of healing. And Audra was always 100% yes, put me on the list. I can take any help that I can get. And I think it brought her comfort to hear her name and to know that in addition to everything that she was doing to fight her cancer, that she was calling in the troops to fight also spiritually. And so there's a poem I want to share with you called Like a Prayer. It says, every word whispered, sung, every word shattered in a storm is a prayer. Every word that the heart cries and sighs to a distant home or forgotten dream in any language is a prayer. Maybe God above doesn't hear at all what our mouths utter, but prayer to God changes the prayer. It's a prayer that extends all the way. It's a prayer that speaks and does. It's a prayer I say to myself for my own well-being or for my loved ones, and I will carry it to journey's end. There is a prayer that opens the morning. There is a prayer that closes the day, a prayer for light, a prayer for warmth, a prayer for healing, a prayer for memory, and a prayer for peace. And so in honor of that prayer that we have said for so long for Audra, I invite you now to be a prayer, to take a moment for silent prayer, whatever it is that you need to say or hold or think, and we'll pray in silence.
took my love, took it down. Climbed a mountain and I turned around. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills, till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older. Now I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older. Now I'm getting older too. Take my love, take it down. Climb a mountain and turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, the landslide will bring it down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, the landslide will bring it down. Oh, the landslide will bring it down.
So the task of summing up someone's life, of beginning to tell the story of their life and beginning to hold the pieces of who they are, who they were, who they will continue to be for us, is one of the parts of my job that I actually love the best. It feels like such a privilege to be able to look back on someone's time and experiences in this world and to start to pull out of them some of the gifts that they have given us. So there's a poem that sometimes we use in this moment that I want to share with you. It's not a poem, it's a story that I'm going to share with you about the people of Rome who spoke about the great artist Michelangelo as a man who had 4 souls because he excelled in architecture and in sculpture and in painting and in poetry. And it was his skill and his vision that had produced so many of the city's beautiful buildings and statues. And so at the end of his life, when Michelangelo was on his deathbed, that his friends gathered at his bedside, torn apart at the idea of a world without him. And one of those friends cried out, "Michelangelo, how will Rome ever get along without you?" And with a weak wave of his hand toward the open window next to his bed and the city beyond, a city that was filled with the creations of his genius, Michelangelo answered, "Rome will never be without me. And we will never be without Audra." Her presence in this world was colorful, more colorful than 1,000 paintings, and her strength and her stubbornness made her larger than the tallest building that we could build. And just like Michelangelo's 4 souls represent his influence in so many parts of Rome, our job today is to think about the souls and the gifts and the strengths of Audra and the legacy that she is leaving us to learn from so that we are never without her. So Audra was born here in Denver in 1978 in Aurora, and from the very beginning, some of the qualities and characteristics that would go on to define Audra for us so many years later, they made themselves known pretty early. Like her family shared the story that when everyone else started riding a bike at 4, Audra wasn't going to do it until she was 8 because she didn't want to. And because she wasn't ready, and because you had to wait until she was ready. And then once she made up her mind, it was a done deal. She was committed to it. She was going to finish it, but you had to wait until Audra decided. Because Audra ran on Audra time. When she thought it was time, there was no stopping her. But it was also really hard to convince her that it was time. She was stubborn from the very beginning, and always more interested in her friends and her extracurriculars and her hobbies than she was in school. And she had a lot of interests as a kid and was pretty committed to them. I heard a story about one time when she was both a young soccer player and a dancer. She got hit in the face with a ball at soccer, and then she went to a dance recital with a broken nose. Because she was, from the start, committed to the things that she believed in, the things that brought her joy, places where she could build community, and where she could do what felt fun and interesting and compelling and worthy. But then Audra got to high school, and she joined BBYO. She joined the chapter today known as Lea Fey BBG number 2310, and that was, as they say, that. And from the very beginning, BBYO just clicked for her. I think it combined everything that she was beginning to believe in: Jewish community, Jewish leadership, the power of sisterhood and friendship, mentorship, an unbelievable belief in the power of young people and in the power of being together. And Audra's time as a BBYO participant, as a member, marked the beginning of a really special and unique kind of quiet and present leadership that she would continue to personify for the next 25 years. And from there, Audra continued to participate in Jewish community. She went on IST, Denver's Israel Study Tour, over the summer, and there began for her a love of Israel and connection to the land of Israel that was formative for her and for many of the younger members of her family. Audra graduated from high school and went off to college at Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff, Arizona, where she met Jeff. And it's a good thing that they met early, because at the end of the first year of college, the administration called her dad and uninvited her for another semester because it turns out you have to go to class. So Audra would be the first to admit, I think, that her attendance and grades were perhaps not what the university expected of her. And there was a general agreement amongst her family that likely she had never, in her time there, set foot into the library. She went to have fun, and she did. And so at the end of that first year, Audra came back to Denver. She went to the Art Institute. And after college, Audra really had 2 jobs in her life. She worked at the JCC for Camp Shy for a really long time, helping to create powerful, informative experiences for Jewish kids summer after summer after summer. I was looking for the dates of when she worked where and stumbled upon her LinkedIn profile, which is always an adventure. And you can tell from that experience what are some of the things that stuck out to her the most that she listed in her own qualifications. And participating in and helping to be a person who brought the Maccabi Games, the like junior Olympic experience, was important to her. And creating camp experiences and giving kids all of these moments, they were really important to her. And then when she left the JCC, she went to the Denver Children's Home, where not only, I think, did she do unbelievably important work for our community and for her, but the way her family talked about it, she was glue there. She loved it so much and brought so much of it herself. She really liked working with kids and for kids. And the environment in that place was so supportive, and she felt so strongly about what she did and about the children that she got to support, which I think is how she felt about BBYO as well. For as long as I can remember, Audra was never not involved in BBYO. She was a volunteer chapter advisor for her beloved 2310 for 22 years. That is so many years, no offense, of high school girls. And I say that having been a high school girl and having worked for BBYO for many years and spent a lot of time with high school girls. I love you people, but you're a lot. And Audra never got tired of it and never didn't show up. She made it so clear to anyone who got to experience her in that space that she was in it for the girls. And last week we had the opportunity to gather some of the current BBYO members to start to process this loss. And as they were going around the room and talking a little bit about what Audra meant to them, the thing that stuck out to me, that was so powerful to me, is that she was there. Whoever they were, whatever they needed, whatever experience they were having, she showed up. And if it meant just sitting with them while they experienced like wild social anxiety, she was in for it. And if it meant helping them think about running for a position and taking on leadership, she was in for it. And if they were having a hard time at home or at school or with friends or with boys or whatever, she was just present. I think we underestimate the power of knowing that someone is there when you need them, and that it's not always about even what advice is given or what is said in those conversations, but knowing that she will show up when you need her. Audra's participation in BBYO as a volunteer advisor grew from chapter programs to regional conventions and then even to international programming, where she loved being a member of the staff. I'm guessing that with the technology that we're so grateful to have, that there are many of her international BBYO friends that she's made over the years that are watching and streaming with us. So just look around and see how many people are there and know that there are many, many more that are here with you, honoring Audra. She was even, International Convention for BBYO was her happy place, and she was even honored at IC as an International Advisor of the Year in 2016. And because BBYO International Convention was here in Denver this past February, Audra was able not only to participate, but her family was able to come and to see this wild and chaotic and magical experience and to watch Audra thrive in this space with 3,500 Jewish teenagers. And they said that it was really cool to see her in that place and to see what joy it brought her. And it was fitting that her last good week before she really started to feel the effects of her illness was at IC. It was the last time that she really felt good and had energy.
But when we think about Audra's support for and love for children, there are really two in particular around whom her entire world revolved: her sons, Max and Lucas. Audra loved being a mom, and she was really, really good at it. She brought them, when they were little, everywhere with her. I think that the two of you have been to more BBYO conventions by the time you joined BBYO than most other people will through the experience of actually being a part of it. But it made her so happy to have them running around in the hallway of like weird Sheratons in the tech center. But she loved, I think, introducing them to the communities and experiences that brought her so much meaning. But she also invested, and heavily, in their own interests. Audra was the definition of a baseball mom. She went to every game. She cheered the boys on. She apparently yelled at the umps wildly. She volunteered for the teams. She was so present and engaged with them and what brought them joy. She loved planning both boys' B'nai Mitzvah and was so proud of watching them grow up and take on adult Jewish identity and adult identity in general. Max, I had the opportunity to sit with your mom a couple of weeks ago when she was in the hospital, and we hadn't caught up in a little while, and so she was telling me about college and about you getting into college, and she was so proud of you for knowing who you are and for knowing what you want. And to listen to her talk about what she knew you were going to accomplish because you had that sense of self-awareness was a thing that was so powerful. I hope I feel that way about my own kid. And Lucas, I know that everyone says that you're a little bit of an Audra mini-me, and that sometimes you guys would then, with that stubbornness and the sensitivity, you guys would get into it and yell at each other. But she was in awe of you. I think that she saw you as like the upgraded version of herself, with all of the things that she knew were true about her, but you, and with wisdom and with a lot more openness than I think she saw in herself. And she did not take it for granted that Jewish community has become important to you too, in a way that it was really important to her. She was really grateful that you have made for yourself a home at Schwader and here at Temple. She's really excited for you to be in BBYO and to find whatever else moves you as you explore the world in high school next year. She's really proud of you guys. Audra was all about her family, about Jeff, who has been her partner in crime, for better or for worse, for half of her life. Jeff, you and Audra lived a lot of life together. And even in the hardest moments between you two, I know, because she told me, that she knew without a doubt in her mind that you were there for her, that you were there for the boys, that she could count on you, that you were truly in it with her. And I don't think she took that for granted even for a minute. Audra was also so grateful for and so close to her parents, who she talked to all the time. And while she never held back what she thought or believed, I think truly ever, it meant a lot to her that you accepted her and valued her for exactly who she was. It was a big deal to take her honesty and just hold it and to be there for the ride. She looked up enormously to her sister, Lauri. And even though they also fought, because how can you not fight with Audra when she tells you all the time everything she thinks? She cared so much, Lauri, about what you thought about her. She was an awesome older cousin and an awesome aunt, and even though she was a little intimidating for pieces of the journey with her eyebrow ring and some sort of poster of David Beckham in her room, the report was that she always had your back. You had to be a little careful when you made jokes about her, because if the joke didn't land, she would come for you. But she was on their team, and she loved playing with her younger cousins and with her, with the kids when, that was an early attribute of Audra. She loved baking, which I had no idea about until last week, and I feel like I got a lot from Audra, but I missed out on that, and I feel a little shortchanged. She loved reading. She loved being with the people that she loved. And when Audra got cancer for the first time, she showed us just what a fighter she was, because she was pretty pissed. She knew that this journey was going to be what it was, but she fought so hard. And she powered through. And the first time, she came out on the other end of that journey. And then when the cancer came back, she fought it again. But toward the end, she got pretty tired, and she couldn't fight anymore. She was really competitive. One of my favorite stories that I heard, which is just like so deeply believable, is from her brother-in-law, Dan, who said that at the end when she was like really pretty ill and she needed to be eating and drinking water, and her mom had been fetching at her to eat and drink for months and months, and she was really not listening anymore. Dan would come in and he figured out like the key to the Audra puzzle in that moment, and he'd say, I bet you can't drink that whole thing of water. And do you know what she did? Which is just so perfect. But she would do it for Dan because he figured it out. The thing is, Audra wasn't the type to tell everyone and to make a big deal out of her illness. And even though she felt strongly about being on the healing list here at Temple, she really didn't want everybody to know that she had cancer. She didn't want it to be the defining part of her identity or to be the thing that people thought about when they thought about her. She was so much more concerned with her perception in the world than with how she felt. And she wanted to be strong and capable and needed by her boys and her family, needed by her coworkers and the people she worked for and the kids she worked for at her job, needed by the girls and the colleagues that she had in her BBYO community. She didn't care at all about feeling sick. And she would have chosen 1,000 times to feel sick and to feel worse if she could have just kept her hair so that she didn't look sick and so that people would have thought that she was as strong and capable as she was. She just wanted to live her life. And she had a lot of inner strength because Audra loved to help. She loved to feel needed and be needed and to show up when someone needed her. And she felt less useful when she was sick, and she just wanted to be normal and involved. And luckily, that didn't mean that she wouldn't occasionally pull the cancer card with the boys if she was sitting on the couch and she needed something from the kitchen and didn't feel like getting up. But for the most part, she really didn't. She was just really brave. And especially at the end, she really didn't mind that she was hurting and didn't complain. She just wanted to go home. She wanted to be with her family and do the things she loved with the people she loved. And so today, instead of looking out the window at the beauty of Rome from Michelangelo's deathbed, I look out at all of you, the friends and the family and the community that Audra built, and I see such love. Just because she is not with us doesn't mean that her creations are gone too. We get to take with us her legacy, her stubbornness and her outspokenness and her passion, her selflessness, her sense of humor and her sarcasm. We take her love of family and community, her love of quiet leadership, and the enormous power of just showing up. And so I hope that all of you find strength in the powerful pride that I hope Audra felt for what she and you have built together, her beautiful family and this community. And much like Rome was and is evidence of Michelangelo's art, your lives are now the evidence of Audra, of her courage, her presence, her strength, and the legacy that she passes on today to all of us. With that, we rise as we are able for our memorial prayer.
El male rachamim, shochen bamromim, hamtzei menucha nechona, tachat kanfei hashchina. Im kedoshim utehorim, kezohar harakia, mazhirim. Et nishmat Devorah Gito, bat Itahenya v'Nachum Yaakov, shehalcha le'olama. Bal harachamim, yastireha b'seter kenafav, le'olamim. Veyitzror bitzror hachayim et nishmata. Adonai hu nachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar Amen.
God of abundant mercy, God most high, may the soul of our loved one who has gone into eternity find the gift of perfect peace in your embrace, together with the holy and pure whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold Audra Lynn Feierstein close to you forever, so that her soul may be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May she find a home with you, and may she rest in peace. And together we say, Amen. In just a moment, we'll get instructions for what's going to happen next. But for those of you that will not be coming with us to the cemetery, I want to make sure that you know that there will be Shiva today after the service until 8 p.m. We'll have a minyan, so the opportunity to gather and pray at 6:30. And there will be Shiva tomorrow, the 31st, from 4 to 8 with minyan at 6:30 at the home of Sue and Gary. Their address is on the cards outside, 3108 South Akron Court.
This doesn't conclude our service here at Cantorial Emanuel. We are going to have an escorted procession to the cemetery. So what that means is here in a moment, I'm going to ask pallbearers to join me up front as we process with the casket through the lobby to the coach. Please stay seated as the family follows. Once we're out into the lobby, you're welcome to leave your seats and go to your cars as well. We'll have an escorted procession, so if you're coming to the cemetery, please go to your cars as quickly as possible. Let's wait to speak with the family until after the graveside, just so they have time to get where they're going this afternoon. If you do lose your way in the procession, or the line is very, very long and you are at the end and you don't see any cars, please obey speed limit signs, please obey stoplights, and we'll definitely make sure to wait for you at the cemetery. If at this moment I could have my pallbearers join me up front.
Kol amar kra ve'amar ma ekra. Kol abasar chatzir ve'chol chasto katzitza sadeh. Yavesh chatzir nevel tzitz ki ruach Adonai nashva bo. Achen chatzir ha'am. Yavesh chatzir nevel tzitz u'devar Eloheinu yakum le'olam. Hatzur tamim pa'alo ki chol derachav mishpat.